Well, first of all, the first supplement I ever used was a protein supplement, protein powder, and that was something I always used throughout my whole career, from amateur to pro. So that's a basic supplement. As a bodybuilder, you need more protein than the average person, more protein than the average athlete actually. So to get the amount of protein you need on a daily basis is quite difficult from whole foods. Not impossible, but quite difficult. And the protein supplement makes it very convenient. If you're traveling, if you're working or whatever and you need to get protein, you can use a protein supplement to help you get your protein goals for the day. So protein supplement would be number one that I would always recommend to everybody. Over and above that, then I would probably say second after that, creatine, because it's tried and tested. We know that creatine helps with strength and muscle fullness and so on. So probably after protein I would go with creatine, and then you can look at a pre-workout in order to increase the intensity of your workouts and so on, which is important. And maybe amino acids after that. But the first one would be protein, probably creatine and a pre-workout. Those would be the basics that I would start with. Again, this will vary from one person to another, but in my opinion most people train too often and too long, but not focused and intense enough. So you need to be very focused and intense on what you're doing, concentrating on what you're doing and really pushing to the limit on the sets where you need to do that. 3 to 4 times a week, absolutely never more than 1 hour in the gym. 3 or 4 times a week, 45 minutes a session would be my general recommendation. Doesn't sound like much, but if you do it properly, after 45 minutes you should be falling on the floor. Absolutely, CBD is great. I mean, I've been promoting CBD and cannabis in general for many years because I think there's tremendous health benefits to the whole thing. CBD helps with recovery, with joint pain, with inflammation and so on. So all these things are important for athletes. I know a lot of people are using it and having tremendous benefits. So I'm a believer in CBD and THC. Well, THC is not legal yet, so CBD is, and you can use it to your benefit. Well, it's different from my era, if you like to call it that, when I was Mr Olympia in the 90s, because you really just had bodybuilding and that was it. And now you've got an industry that's diversified, so you don't just have bodybuilding. You have bodybuilding, you have classic bodybuilding, you have men's physique, men's fitness, women's bikini, so many different categories now. So I think it's maybe bodybuilding per se is not as big as it used to be in the 90s, but the whole industry is bigger. There's much more categories and more people involved. So I wouldn't say it's better or it's worse. It's different times. Nothing stays the same and things change. So you've got more people probably involved now in the fitness industry, if you like. But perhaps bodybuilding is not on its own quite as big as it used to be. Well, we didn't have coaches for anything. We didn't have a coach for nutrition. We didn't have a coach for training. We didn't have a coach for posing. We didn't have coaches. Bodybuilding, and this is what I loved about bodybuilding in those days, it was an individual sport. You had to manage all of this. You had to learn about nutrition. You had to learn about the best way to train. You had to learn to pose, etc., etc. So how did we learn to pose? We just used to watch the video tapes from the Mr Olympia and all the big shows and watch the top professionals there posing to their music routines to the music, and watch how they transition from one pose to another, and basically just get it from there and do it ourselves. So but I think there was more emphasis on the posing, because the posing round was actually judged as part of the contest, so it was more essential, where now I think people don't put so much time and effort into that aspect of it, probably because if it's not judged, why would they? Well, I mean, again, it's not just women's bodybuilding now, it's women's so many different categories: figure, fitness, bikini, so many categories, and it's almost like, for me, it's like a modelling or beauty pageant where, yeah, there's the hair and the bikini and all this is a big part of the show. So not a huge fan of that. I would rather just see the physiques, but it's a different industry these days, and women's bodybuilding per se is not really hardly exists these days, because I think the women bodybuilding got too extreme in the muscularity, so not many people are interested in that, and many people are interested in the look of the bikini and fitness and so on. This is a more popular look for the general public, so this has got more popular.